Hello everyone, hello. I see you over there. Yeah, how are you doing? It is your host, the ghost of the most, for the evening, Dylan Kurosaki. And this is a new segment on the channel that I want to do. It's called Sugoi Sugoi Reading Time. If you want to know what Sugoi Sugoi means, it means awesome reading time. So, this is the segment where we catch up on reading and might as well share my love of reading and reading stories to all of you. And I have a zillion of books that I have not yet read. That's why we are doing this show, because it's best to catch up on reading. Reading is such a really important thing in anyone's lives. Like, look at Albert Einstein. Look at Thomas Edison. Some of the geniuses in our time. The reason they got to where they are today is all because of reading. So, the first book we are going to read together is no other than, yeah, I know it, Harry Potter and the Philosopher'S Stone. And we're going to start with the first chapter. Chapter 1. The Boy Who Lived. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. They were the last people you'd expect to be involved in anything strange or mysterious, because they didn't hold for such nonsense, like it's Alice in Wonderland. Mr. Dursley was the director of a firm called Grunnings. A firm is like what they say about, being a lawyer kind of thing. Which made wills. Okay. He was a big, beefy man with such a hardly-early duck. Although he did have a very large mustache. Mrs. Dursley was thin and blonde and had nearly twice the amount of neck. Okay, what? Which came very useful, as she spent so much of her time craning over garden fences, being a troll, and spying on neighbors. I'm sorry. The Dursleys had a small son named Dudley, and in their opinion was no such finer boy anywhere. The Dursleys had everything they wanted, but also they had a secret, the greatest fear that somebody would soon discover. They didn't think they could bear it if anyone found out about the Potters. Mrs. Potter was Mrs. Dursley's sister, but they hadn't met for several years. In fact, Mrs. Dursley pretended he didn't have a sister because he is a spoiled little brat. This is why, though. Because her sister and her good-for-nothing husband were as undursley-ish as it was possible to be. The Dursleys shuddered. Oh! To think what the neighbors would say if the Potters arrived on the street. The Dursleys knew that the Potters had a small son too. The legend became the legend. Mangai! You know who he is. You know who he is. But they've never seen him. This boy was another good reason for keeping the Potters away. And that's mean. Very mean. He's a legend. You all know who he is. But they didn't want Dudley mixed with a shout like that. Mr. and Mrs. Susan woke up on a dark gray Tuesday. Our story starts. There was nothing but the cloudy sky outside to suggest that strange and mysterious scenes would soon be happening all over the country. Mr. Dursley, Mr. not Mrs. Sorry, Mr. Dursley harmlessly picked out his most boring time for work, and Mrs. Dursley gossiped away happily as the rest of the day, screaming Dudley into his high chair. None of them noticed a large, tiny owl flutter past the window. At 8:30, Mr. Dursley picked up the briefcase, packed Mrs. Dursley under the cheek, and tried to kiss Dudley goodbye, but missed because Dudley was now having a tantrum and throwing his shoe along the walls. Little tyke, thought Mr. Dursley as he left the house. He got into his car, back on number 4's drive. Get it? Get it? Number 4 People Drive? Yes! In the driveway. Yes! People Drive! Okay. It was on the corner of the street that he noticed the first sign of something particular. A cat reading a map. Well, all cats read a map. For a second, Mr. Dursley didn't realize what he had seen, and then he jerked his head around to look again. There was a tabby cat standing on the corner he had been thinking of. He's been thinking of a corner. That's good grammar. Good grammar. Yes. But I still love you, J.K. Rowling. But there wasn't a map in sight. What could he have been thinking of? It must have been some trick of delight. Mr. Dursley blinked and stared at the cat. It stared back as Mr. Dursley drove around the corner and up the road. He watched the cat in his mirror. It was now really the sign that said River Drive. No, looking at the sign, cats couldn't read the maps or signs. Yes, they do. They do read maps and signs. My cat does. Mr. Dursley gave himself a little shake and put the cat out of his mind as he drove towards town. He thought of nothing except a large order of bills. Yeah, he was hoping to get that day. But on the edge of town, the bills were driven out of his mind by something else. Oh dear Lord. Let's see. As he sat in his morning traffic jam, he couldn't have noticed there seemed to be a lot of strangely dressed people about. People in cloaks. Well, we see them every day. Yes, people do that nowadays. It's called cosplay. Now. But in this time, in the book, Still acceptable. Still acceptable. The Dursleys are Mongols. That's what they are. They're Mongols. They don't understand. They just don't. Okay. Let me just find where I was. Okay. Mr. Dursley couldn't bear people who dress in funny clothes. The get-ups he was so on young people. He's supposed to have some kind of new fashion. Back in their time, yes. He does not understand that people still do that. Yes. He drummed his fingers on the steering wheel, and his eyes fell on a huddle of these weirdos standing quite close by. They were whispering ecstatically together. Mr. Dursley was enraged to see that a couple of them weren't young at all. Why, that man has to be older than he was, and wearing an emerald green cloak. The nerve of him! Okay. Let me just position myself. Then, okay. The next drug Mr. Dursley, that it was probably some kind of silly stunt. Those people were obviously collected for something. Yes, that would be it. The driver moved, and a few minutes later, Mr. Dursley arrived at Groening's car park, and his mind went back on his wheels. Mr. Dursley sat in the back of his office on the ninth floor. If he hadn't, he might have found it harder to concentrate on his wheels that morning. He didn't see the hours swoopy past. Like 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay. And broad daylight. Whoa, good to know. Though people down in the street did, and I did too. I'm there, secretly. Then pointing the kids open mouthed, owl after owl. Spread overhead. Most of them have never seen an owl, even at night. Well, now we do. And if you live, like, in the rural area, you will see owls. Yes. Ho-ho! Okay. He yelled at 5 different people. He made several important telephone calls and counted some more. Okay. He was in a very good mood until last time. Now, they went, okay, Mr. Dursley, get some help. I like how it says here that he yelled at 5 different people. I just want to comment on that. Yeah, Mr. Dursley, please stop that, fam. Get some help. Okay. He was in a very good mood until lunchtime, and when he thought he'd stretch his legs, he would walk across by himself to get a bump in the baker's opposite. He forgot all about the people in cloaks until he passed a group of them next to the bakers. He eyed them angrily as he passed. He didn't know why, but this made him uneasy. This lot were whispering excitedly too. He couldn't see a single collecting tin. He was on his way back past them, collecting the donut in a bag. That he heard a few words what they were saying. The Potters! That's right, that's what I heard! Yes, that's what Harry! So I'll say that again. He probably didn't understand that. The Potters! That's right! That's what I heard! Yes, their son, Harry! Mr. Dursley stopped dead! Fear flooded him. He looked back at the whisperers as he wanted to say something to them, but thought better of it. He dashed back across the road, hurried up to his office, snapped at his secretary not to disturb him. Seize the telephone! And he almost started dialing the home number when he changed his mind. He put the receiver back down and stood to the mustache. I'm Mr. Dursley. I yell at people. Yes, I am the richest guy in the world. Okay. That's probably what he's saying in his mind right now. No, he was being stupid. Potter wasn't such an unusual name. There were lots of people called Potter, and heard a son called Harry. Come to think of it, he wasn't sure that his nephew was called Harry. He'd never seen the boy. It might have been Harvey or Harold. There was no point in worrying Mrs. Dursley. She had gotten so upset at any mention of her sister. He didn't blame her. If he had a sister like that, but all the same as people in cloaks. He found it a lot harder to concentrate on drills that afternoon, and when he left the building at 5 o'clock, he was still so worried that he was straight to his son just outside the door. Sorry, he grunted, as the tiny old man stumbled and almost fell. Wow. Wow, Mr. Dursley. Wow. It was a few seconds before Mr. Dursley realized that the man was wearing a violet cloak. Ooh, stylish, very stylish, dude. He didn't seem at all upset at being almost knocked to the ground. On the contrary, his face split into a wild smile as he said in a squeaky voice that made passers-by stare.
Don't be sorry, my dear sir, for nothing could have saved me today. Rejoice, for you know how it's gonna last. Even muggles like yourself to be celebrating this happy, happy day.
And the old man hugged Mr. Dursley around the middle and walked off. Okay. Mr. Dursley stood rooted to the spot. He'd been hugged by a complete stranger. And he thought he'd become a muggle. Whatever that was, he was rather than hurry to his car and set off home, hoping he was imagining things. But he had never hoped before because he didn't approve of imagination. Mr. Dursley! You need some help! Okay. As he pointed to the driveway of number 4, the first thing he saw didn't improve his mood was the tabby cat he spotted earlier that morning. He was now sitting on his garden wall. He sure it was the same one. It had the same markings around his eyes. Phew! Mr. Dursley said loudly. The cat didn't move. He just gave him a stern look. Well, all cats give all the owners a stern look when they want something. Yes. It's a sign. Was this normal cat behavior? Yes. Mr. Dursley wondered, trying to put himself together and let himself into the house. He was still determined not to mention anything to his wife. Mrs. Dursley had a nice normal day. She told him over dinner all about Mrs. Next Door's problems with her daughter and how Dolly learned a new word, chant. Mr. Dursley tried to act normally when Dolly was being put to bed. He went over to the living room to try to get the last report on the evening news. Oh, this should be interesting already! And finally, bird watchers everywhere have reported that the nation's owls have been behaving very usually today. Although owls normally hunt at night and hardly seen in daylight. There have been hundreds of sightings of birds flying in every direction. Since sunrise. Well, what do you know? Okay. Experts are unable to explain why the owls have suddenly changed their sleeping pattern. Well, you know what some animals actually do, I think. Like, I know we can. And we're actually basically the evolved form of apes. Okay, let's continue. The newsreader allowed himself a grin. Most mysterious. And now, over to Jim McDuffie for the weather report. Gonna be in my showers of hours tonight, Sam. Well, Ted, said the weatherman. I don't know that, but as far as hours have been acting oddly today. Viewers for Park Kent, Yorkshire, and Dundee, and Darker's house have been phoning in to tell me that instead of the rain I promised yesterday, there's been a downpour of shooting stars. Well, shooting stars. People shooting stars. People. Perhaps people have been celebrating Bonfire Night early. Until next week, folks. But I get plums a wet night tonight. Mr. Dorsey sat floated in his armchair, shooting the stars all over Britain. I was flying by daylight. Mysterious people in cloaks all over the place, and a whisper about the Potters. Mrs. Dorsey had come into the living room carrying 2 cups of tea. It was no good. He had to say something to her. He cleared his throat nervously. Petunia, dear, you haven't heard from your sister lately, have you? As he had expected, Mrs. Dorsey looked shocked and angry after all. They normally pretended she didn't have a sister. No, she said sharply. Why? Funny stuff in the news, Mr. Dorsey mumbled. Owls, shooting stars. And there were lots of funny-looking people in this town today. So? Snapped Mrs. Dursley. Well, I just thought maybe it had something to do with, who a lot. Mrs. Dursley sipped her tea from her pursed lips. Mr. Dursley wondered if she dared to tell her he heard the name Potter. He said he didn't dare. To keep her happy, probably. Yes. Instead, he said, as calmly as he could, their son. He'd be about $8 now, wouldn't he? I suppose so, said Mrs. Dursley stiffly. What was his name again? How innocent? Harry. A common name if you ask me. Oh, yes, said Mr. Dursley, his heart sticking humbly. Yes, I quite agree. Well, the truth comes out. He didn't say another word on the subject as he went upstairs to bed. While Mrs. Dursley was in the bathroom, Mr. Dursley crept to the bedroom window and peered out into the front garden. The cat was still there. It was staring down Private Drive as though it was waiting for something. Was he imagining things? Could all this have to do with the Potters? If it did, if it got either related to a pair of... Well, he did not want to think he could bear it. The Dursleys go to bed. Mrs. Dursley fell asleep quickly, but Mr. Dursley lay awake, turning all over in his mind. His last comforting thought before he fell asleep was that even if the Potters were involved, there was no reason for them to come near him. And Mrs. Dursley, the Potters knew very well what he and Petunia thought about them and their kind. He couldn't see how he and Petunia got mixed up in anything that might be going on. He yawned and turned over. It couldn't affect them. How very wrong he was! Mr. Dursley might have been drifting into an uneasy sleep, but the candle wall outside had no sign of sleepiness. It was sitting still as a statue, like all cats do, its eyes fixed unblinkingly on the far corner of Privet Drive. It didn't so much quiver than a car door slammed in the next week. No, 2 hours swooped overhead. Okay. In fact, it was nearly midnight before the cat moved at all. A man appeared on the corner. The cat had been watching so suddenly and silently, you would have thought he just popped right on the ground. Poop! Poof! Hello! What you need? What you need? What you need? What you need? The cat stared to it and his eyes narrowed. And we all know who that is. We all know. I won't say anything though. You guys probably already know. Okay. Nothing like this man had never seen in Privet Drive. He was tall, thin, and very old. Well, good to know. Judging by the silver of his hair and beard. A long beard. Yes. It had to be long enough to tuck into his belt. He was wearing long robes and a purple cloak with swept the ground and high-heeled bucket boots. Ooh, interesting. Very interesting. His blue eyes were light, bright, and sparkling behind half-moon spectacles. And his nose was very long and crooked. Crooked! Crooked! Dear lad, these! Though, Ezra has been broken at least twice. Oh my lord. This name's man was Albus Dumbledore. Albus Dumbledore? Actually, you know what? This is a pretty long chapter, guys, so that's going to be the first part. Hope you enjoyed that. That's going to be the first part of Harry Potter and the Philosopher'S Stone. Don't worry. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry, guys. I'm still going to be doing this. We're going to finish the chapter. Alright? In the next video, I hope you enjoyed Sugoi Sugoi reading time. And if you want to see some more, you know what to do. Blast that like button. And keep relaxing, and don't stop believing. And most of all, I love all of you.